check us in?
I'm gonna go get us checked in. Oh no. We've double booked your weddings.
What? Are you the wedding planner? You never even called this place?
I have social anxiety.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2025 comedy film, You're Cordially Invited. The film is written and directed by Nicholas Stoller and it stars Will Ferrell, Reese Witherspoon, Geraldine Visvanthian, Meredith Hagner, Jimmy Tatro and Stoney Blyden. Right, okay, the film follows Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon's characters. Will Ferrell is a single father. His daughter, Jenny, comes home from college and she brings a fiancé with her, which is a big surprise to him. Once he finally accepts this, he rings up to book the wedding for the following June. He believes he's booked this, but the woman that books it drops dead on the spot. And exactly pretty much the same time, Reese Witherspoon's character Margot is booking her sister's wedding at exactly the same location. When June the 1st comes around, they both turn up at the venue at the same time, realise it's been double booked, and quite a lot of things go wrong from that point on. They try and have a little bit of a truce going on, seeing if they can share the venue, but they always seem to outdo each other, keep trying to ruin each other's weddings, and it all gets completely out of hand. Right, what are my thoughts on You're Cordially Invited? Well, I'm a big fan of Will Ferrell's. I mean, I know he has done some damp squids over the years, but generally speaking, I like his style of humour. He does genuinely make me laugh in most things that he's done. I just think his humour is so kind of off kilter sometimes. You can't help but laugh at him. So I was always going to watch this film just for Will Ferrell alone because, as I say, I enjoy his movies. And overall, while this is not going to go on the list of Will Ferrell's greatest comedies, it is not by any stretch of the imagination anywhere near his finest role. There are moments here that will certainly get you chuckling. Now, I watched this with my wife because it's on Amazon Prime. And we both watched it and we both enjoyed it. We chuckled, in the right places here and there, and it did everything it was supposed to do. It is not one of those that is going to be overly memorable. It's not one that, anyone says to me, "Oh, do you remember that Will Ferrell film he did, that wedding one with Reese Witherspoon?" You're never going to hear that phrase. But it's a solid film, and it has its moments. It's got that typical American blueprint when it comes to a comedy. Yeah, it's got the outrageousness to it. It's got the over-the-top bits to it. It's got the adversity thing. It's got the cringe moments. It's got all them things are thrown in there that you see in these like American comedies, like the social awkwardness of things here and there, and then everything going completely wrong, and then you get all the, sugary stuff at the end. It's a tried and tested formula for American comedies. They've been doing it for many, many decades. And they don't necessarily particularly deviate away from it that often. And this is another example of that. If you like that kind of comedy, then you'll probably quite enjoy this one. I think what also makes this more tolerable, if you like, because it's done for a more grown-up audience. And what I mean by that is, there's lashings of swearing in it and all that kind of stuff. They deal with some adult stuff here and there, and it's a little bit edgier in that sense. I think if this had been like a PG film, you know what I mean, or a family-friendly film, it would have been unbearable, in my opinion. I think it would have been too. Well, I just don't think it would have worked. It would have been, just an afterthought, in my opinion. So it makes it more watchable and bearable for those reasons, to see Will Ferrell losing his shit in a comedy role, like, when his baby daughter can't have the wedding she deserves and it's all going terribly wrong, and then, he tries to outdo Reese Witherspoon's character, and she tries to outdo his character, and it all keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. There's good comedy there. There's good sitcom comedy there. There's good moments to be had in a comedy like that, and this certainly has that. It does its best to kind of milk that scenario for as much as you can possibly get. Performances wise, I think Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon have got actually some really quite good chemistry here. They do work really quite well together. They both, as I said, because they keep trying to one up each other in the film, and they spark off each other really, really well, and I think it worked for the most part. Their performances together. There's a huge cast of all sorts of other characters in the film. Some of them are over the top and a bit pointless. Some of them are completely unforgettable. The bride and groom for both parties really are very, very forgettable here. Make no mistake that this film is really Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon front and centre. Obviously the part of the wedding processes and stuff are focused on in the film, but as I've said, the groom and the brides on both sides are just so forgettable and given very, very little to do, and in actual fact, in some cases, quite annoying. It is what it is, this film. It's one of those that I think if it had been released at the cinema, it would have probably not done particularly well. It's one of those that, what harm are you going to do? If you've got Amazon Prime, put it on and give it a watch, you might think it's funny. You might have a chuckle with it. Comedies are very, very difficult, to massively recommend, because I might find something hilarious and you might think it's absolute garbage, and vice versa. But I think this is somewhere in between, in a sense of it gives you a giggle when it's supposed to, I think, here and there. And I think that's the good thing about Will Ferrell, is even in a relatively average Will Ferrell film, which is what I would describe this one as, is still funny in it. There are still some massively ridiculous moments in it that are fueled by his style of comedy. And that's what I want to see in a Will Ferrell film. I don't necessarily want to, see him doing something that isn't what he normally does, And thankfully you do get lashings of that in this film, him going absolutely mental and over the top and giving us the Will Ferrell shtick sort of thing. And he gets to play up against Reese Witherspoon, that kind of gives back as good as she gets here. So, do I think this one is, gonna, be on people's top 10s of the year? Of course it isn't. But I do think this is, a watchable comedy if, if it's your sort of thing. If you're a fan of Will Ferrell, if you like, these very typical transactional tick box number comedies that America do, then you could do far worse than this one. I certainly didn't dislike this one, but I certainly don't think it's one that'll stick in the memory either. So thanks for joining me for this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I will, of course, be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.